HP Chuanshu+Micro Nu+Shuangwen+A useless Virgin Mary system. As the most talented demon cultivator in the cultivation world for hundreds of years, he was struck by a lightning bolt into a completely different magical world, and was also gifted with a Virgin Mary system that only knows forbidden words and persuasion. In this turbulent magical world, how can one become the new white demon king under system limitations? The first step. Deceiving the innocent old professor. Lightning protection. Si Jiao, mild black Dumbledore, black robber group of 4. Chapter 1. Enrollment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The train welcoming the new students at Hogwarts was old and slow. When Philia stepped out of the carriage, night had already fallen and the stars illuminated the dimly lit platform. There is no moon tonight. The one who came to welcome the new student was a half-giant with a scruffy beard, using his palm like a fan and a loud voice to greet the new student. First-grade freshmen, come here. Come on. Follow me. Are there any freshmen left? Be careful when walking and don't fall. Follow me, freshmen. The elderly walked to the other side with their backs hooked, some standing in place and laughing heartily as they watched a group of young children frantically move around. They were not the same as the freshmen. Philia saw a carriage pulled by a black flying horse. This is obviously much cooler than the admission methods of new students. What do you think of me sneaking into the veteran group? Philia hummed a tune and had a conversation with the system in her mind. A qualified Virgin Mary should not do anything that violates the rules. Philia let out a disdainful snort, the qualified virgin. She will eventually dismantle this damn system. Of course I am willing to abide by the rules, just for a small benefit. After a moment of silence, the system compromised and said, follow the guide to Hogwarts Hall and reward the Affinity Junior badge. Oh. I really love you so much. System, you know I've always enjoyed following rules. The system of the Blessed Virgin Mary system is also a silly and sweet Virgin Mary. Hello, Hagrid is leaving, we need to keep up right away. A boy's voice interrupted Philia's conversation with the system in her mind. I am Harry Potter, he introduced himself. Philia Foley. Nice to meet you. Philia gave a sweet smile. Nice to meet you, we need to hurry up. Harry's ears turned red even in the dark. He turned his head, grabbed Philia's hand, and strode towards the front of the line. Harry. Where are you? Come to me. The half-giant leading the way called out to him. Harry was supposed to be at the front, but the girl who seemed to be shining in the darkness caught his eye. She has silver moonlight like long hair and pale purple melancholic eyes, looking up at the stars in the sky and softly humming something. So he pushed against the crowd to the end and held the hand of the stunned girl. This is the first person who did not have an excessive reaction to his name. Harry couldn't describe how he felt in his heart. He was both happy with her blandness and sad about it, as if he was sick. Fluorescence flickers. Philia took out her wand with her other hand and lit a bright light. That bright light directly illuminated all the paths of new life. What a powerful magic! Hagrid praised, you are such a thoughtful child. This bright and stable fluorescent flicker can only be used by graduating seniors. She must be a studious Ravenclaw. Philia just glanced at him with a faint smile, then shifted her gaze to the black water ahead. That's Black Lake, which was where the 4 founders arrived at Hogwarts. A girl with brown curly hair and a pair of front teeth approached Philia. I'm Hermione Granger. You're really good at using magic. I only had time to preview the textbook once, and I can only occasionally use 1 or 2 very simple spells successfully, but I've memorized them all. Philia. Fry. You must be a studious Ravenclaw. Philia spoke like a rhythmic ballad, as the people of the Fry family did. Thank you. I like Ravenclaw. You speak like you sing. It's so moving. Oh. You must also be the wise Ravenclaw. The three of them boarded the small boat at Hagrid's signal. The lake's surface rippled one or two under the sway of the boat, returning to calmness. Looking down, a group of silver fish surrounded the boat. That was attracted by the affinity badge. Currently, Philia has only accumulated 3 basic affinity badges. If there are advanced elf badges or forest friends, they can attract more small animals in the water. The magnificent castle is located opposite the huge lake, surrounded by mountains and clear springs, surrounded by towering towers and complex and beautiful windows emitting warm light. It's so beautiful, Philia sighed, I can't wait to embrace it. Who? Harry and Hermione's vision was not enough to see the castle in the distance on such a dim night. Lower your head. Little ones. Be careful. Hagrid shouted loudly as the boat passed through a low, vine-covered cliff. In fact, only the tall half-giants need to lower their heads. If it were a place where even the little ones have to lower their heads, the tall giants would only have their heads left to pass through. Philia silently gazed at her 2 companions, who were disheveled as they bent down and lowered their heads, then awkwardly lifted them up. She had a series of curses in her heart that insulted their foolishness, but unfortunately they were all sealed in her mouth by the system. Having been in this world for so many years, she has become accustomed to silence. The Virgin Mary should not say such unfounded profanity. The system warns again in its mind. Why bother? Anyway, I didn't say anything and you wouldn't punish me for it. Philia paid no attention to such warnings. After all, it was simply too difficult for a sorcerer to learn and not to curse. Just help me keep my mouth shut. Philia answered. This has always been your job. The small boat stopped at a narrow port filled with stones, and Hagrid walked at the forefront, leading the freshmen up a long stone ladder, and finally stopped in front of the church on the side of the castle. An elegant and serious woman stood in front of the wooden door of the church. Leave them to me. Thank you very much, Hagrid. You're welcome. Professor McGonagall. Oh, goodbye Harry. The half-giant waved goodbye to them. Goodbye Hagrid. Harry also waved his hand. Ms. McGonagall signaled for them to be quiet, then briefly introduced the 4 colleges, and took them to an open room to wait for the separation ceremony to begin. You can organize yourself, she suggested. It seems that this group of new students will never be rumored to fight giant monsters or fight 6-eyed spiders. Philia looked out the window in a daze. Oh my goodness. My dad told me to get the test paper under the nose of the fire dragon. My brother said he wants to fight against monsters. Do you know about monsters? They are tall and big, emitting a disgusting odor all over their bodies. There are too many people here. Oh no, my dad would never want to see me in the same room as them. Why can't there be comfortable chairs here? It's really terrible, I must tell my dad. How do you think the hospital will be divided, Forrest? Harry spoke to the girl who had been silent all along. I think it's an exam. Fighting monsters is really stupid. The school can't let a group of new students fight monsters. Would the professor watch freshmen who haven't even learned the simplest floating spells fight monsters that are immune to most of the spells? Or would he watch us helpless children running around under the dragon's nose? Hermione spoke quickly. Isn't that right, Philia? What do you think? You're right, it can't be fighting a monster. Philia smiled and tidied up Hermione's messy hair. Just now the professor asked us to organize our images, remember? It's not a fight, it could be an exam, or it could be doing nothing. Philia turned her head to look at Harry again. Don't be nervous, you can look in the mirror in advance. Philia took out a palm-sized small mirror from her arms, adorned with exquisite gemstones. Thank you. Harry blushed and took it, wiping away the dust from his face in the mirror. Well done. The Virgin Mary should care for children, the system loudly praises in the brain. Caring for children, of course, the world of cultivation knows how to care for young children. The most ferocious demon cultivator will also release a young boy with the ability to cultivate immortals. After all, there are too few people in the world of cultivation who are willing to get married and get pregnant, and the little ones belong to everyone. However, offspring over the age of 15 will lose preferential treatment. Philia happened to be 15 before being kidnapped by the system. Thank you again to the system. Professor McGonagall walked into the room again and led them into the magnificent and lively auditorium. The ceiling here has been enchanted, and I have read it in Hogwarts. A school history, Hermione whispered. It's great to have you. I like smart and knowledgeable friends, Philia praised with a smile. Hermione blushed and turned her head away, gently gripping Philia's hand. I really hope to enter the same college as you. Me too. The senior students sat on long tables around them, with Hogwarts principal and professor sitting high in the center. They watched the group of freshmen with a smile, except for a professor with black and half-long hair who was frowning and looking at Harry. System, who is he? The youngest and most handsome among the professors, your future professor of potions, Severus Snape. This is a man who is easily unattractive at first glance, and Philia quickly changed the topic. System, it's time for me to meet my soulmate. One of the pure-blooded nobles, the Fry family, possessing powerful soul magic, also suffered a curse from the soul. Children of the Foley family often dream of their soulmates during adolescence, and they often become obsessed with these children, making it difficult for them to find a partner in real life. Even worse, the matching of soul lovers only depends on the soul. That is to say, the lovers that the little ones meet may be the old grandfather who has turned into bones in the Middle Ages, or the little bean pudding that will only appear 10 to 20 years later. It may not be the opposite sex, it may be the same sex, it may be a strange gender, or the species may not be human at all. The powerful members of the Foley family may have been tormented by the search for a soulmate in reality for their entire lives, so they rarely have ambitions beyond love, and have not even seen the Slytherin of the Foley family. The host can rest assured that the system will firmly safeguard the safety of the host's soul, maintain the stability of the host's soul, and the host does not have to worry about the appearance of soul lovers. No, 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 what system are you talking about? I'm a Foley. Of course, Flay needs to have his own soulmate, is the host confirmed. Your soulmate is a medieval black dragon, fire dragon. Cool Fulai's eyes lit up first, and then quickly denied it. Of course, it's not about being in love with the fire dragon. What I mean is that I want Professor Snape, who has an oily head, a black robe, and a cold face, to be my soulmate. The Virgin Mary system crashed. Did you fall in love with him at first sight? Of course. And he is very suitable to be the guardian of the kind Virgin Mary when she encounters danger, don't you think? The system is at your service. Love at first sight is impossible. But the pitiful, kind and unique Miss Foley does need a strong protector. Otherwise, what should we do when Miss Foley's kindness is in danger? The system cannot provide protection against unexpected events. Professor McGonagall placed a grey and dirty pointed wizard hat with various colored patches on a corner stool, and the hat twisted and sang a biased song. Brave Gryffindor, loyal Hufflepuff, wise Ravenclaw, and cunning Slytherin. It seems that this school is not friendly to Slytherin. Philia tugged at Harry's hem beside her in displeasure. I hate this hat. Why? Is it too dirty? He is full of prejudice. No child should be harmed by prejudice. Leia frowned in agony. But he prejudiced all Slytherin's children. How cute. Harry also became dissatisfied with the hat while lamenting the girl's kindness and cuteness. You're also a child, he said finally. On the train, Weasley's evaluation of Slytherin and Hagrid's words echoed in Harry's mind, indeed full of prejudice against Slytherin, and not just that hat. Harry began to doubt whether the people he knew were truly sincere and friendly. After all, his childhood was hurt by prejudice. Professor McGonagall shouted after it finished singing, whoever's name is called, put on this hat and wait for the division. Hannah Abbott. Hufflepuff. What college will I be assigned to? Philia inquiry system. I don't know, the system won't interfere with the host's branch. You need to intervene. I will definitely be assigned to Slytherin. Slytherin wouldn't welcome a Virgin Mary spreading love everywhere. This is a powerful reason. In order to achieve the system goals, the system does not mind providing the host with any help within its capabilities. Which college do you want to be admitted to? Hitchcock. Believe me, no one can refuse a loyal friend and lover. Our task will be much easier at this point. The freshman division was already halfway through, and Harry Potter and Hermione were both assigned to Gryffindor. A beautiful young man with golden hair sat at Slytherin's long table, discussing with his companions the most prominent young girl among the remaining freshmen. Norte, do you think Foley will come to Slytherin? No, the Flay family is either Ravenclaw or Hessapatch. I think you know about Malfoy. Of course, everyone knows that Flay has no ambition. Draco pursed his lips. It seemed that the task assigned by his father would be much more difficult. Philia Foley. Before the branch hat touched the beautiful silver hair, it screamed loudly. Hufflepuff. Sure enough, everyone knows that Flay has no ambition. Chapter 2. The Strong and Diligent Foley. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Philia Foley, this name caught Snape's attention. A very familiar name with a familiar appearance, but he confirmed that he never knew a child from the Foley family. The only person he knows of the Foley family is the Lord of the Foley family who loves to beat Voldemort. What a terrifying Fulai family. You never know how powerful these peaceful Fulai people are. Snape frowned and shifted his gaze to Harry Potter, who was Lily's child, and he owed Lily. Damn it! How could he be so like a foolish Potter? Philia, who was 1.3 meters tall, sat on a long table, tightly blocked by the newborn badger. Oh my goodness! You're so cute, said Hannah from the first branch. She reached out and compared their heights, but due to Philia's longer legs, she appeared shorter while sitting. No one has ever said before that she is short. Leah mournfully reminisced about her long legs, who had grown from 15 years old to 1.7 meters old. Look at the short legs now. Could you please pour me a glass of milk? Leah pointed to the nearby milk bucket, which was unfriendly to her short arm. Oh, you're also very cute. I'm Hannah Abbott, nice to meet you. Hannah helped her pour a glass of milk and brought some food from a distance. Don't worry, dear, we're still growing taller. Nice to meet you, Hannah. Leah first drank a glass of milk and then spoke calmly. Drink more milk and eat more meat. I will definitely grow very tall. After dinner, the prefect of Hufflepuff will lead them to the dormitory. Hufflepuff's dormitories and Slytherin's dormitories are both underground, with a small section of the road passing by, and Slytherin's little snake constantly greeting and waving at Leah. Oh my goodness! You know so much DOS lettering. Hannah exclaimed softly. They know me, I don't know them, but they're very cute. Yes, yes. You're a Fry. I just remembered. Oh, the powerful and mysterious Fry. Hannah happily picked up Leah. My mother would surely faint with joy when she heard that I was making friends with a friend named Foley. Hannah is at least 1.5 meters tall, and it's effortless to pick up Leah. She hugged Leah and spun around before placing her on the ground. At this moment, the little badgers in the public lounge looked at them with kindness. Dear Foley. The female senior smiled and praised, the dean will definitely be happy for you. She loves talented badgers the most. Maybe we can win this year's college cup. The male class leader also smiled and blinked. The Fulai family is not weak, they will definitely add a lot of points to their college. This is common sense, just like the Blake family is crazy, the Knott family is paranoid, and the Potter family is impulsive lions. But now, dear ones, you should go to bed. Girls, come with me, boys, follow your senior. Oh. Dear Ep, you should call me by my name. The male grade chief complained affectionately and then called on the boys to follow. Come on. Boys. Follow me. Sister Ep urged them to fall asleep as soon as possible before leaving, because the first class the next day was Professor Sprout's herbology. They hope that the freshmen can leave a good impression on the dean instead of being late or sleeping in the first class. In the field of herbal medicine, Leah looked at the elf badges in the system mall and was very envious. Although she already has 4 affinity badges, it only gives her a slight liking for magical animals and plants, and the elf badges are stronger, which are natural pets. Leah doesn't look forward to herbal medicine classes, or in other words, she doesn't look forward to anything except potion classes. Who else could be a better teacher than the system and the Foley family? God knows how many private lessons Philia will have as the next head of the Foley family. And magic, not to mention the innate powerful magic of the Foley family, the Virgin Mary system rewards most of the magic points by 10 before Leah went to school. Leah can be certain that even the little cubs of the dragon or phoenix tribes will not have stronger magic than her. Miss Foley, what should I pay attention to when taking care of Bobwa's tubers? Pay attention to wearing dragon skin gloves and holding your breath. It emits a petroleum odor that can harm the nasal cavity. Its concentrated water can cause unusual damage to the skin. That's a great answer. Hessapatch adds 10 points. Most of Hufflepuff's courses are with Ravenclaw. But she needs to find a way to get along with the famous savior, in order to become an equally famous figure and promote the virtues of the Virgin Mary. This is the ultimate goal of the system. Why is it so difficult for Hufflepuff to encounter Slytherin and Gryffindor? Do you want her quiet little cutie to run to Gryffindor's long table in public and make friends with the savior? It's completely unreasonable to separate Gryffindor and Slytherin, who have long had grudges. This will only make them hate each other more. Damn the old bee. This must be an arrangement made to cultivate his beloved savior. If you want him to hate Slytherin, I can definitely make him sympathize with Slytherin. Oh, people who calculate children are really annoying. I bet even the most disgusting zombie tribe wouldn't plan a child like this. The best trio to get close to is undoubtedly Hermione. Philia met her in the library and sat in the reading area on the left, with The Famous Wizards of Modern Times and The Chronicles of Hogwarts on her right. It's really clever. The 2 clever little witches who wished each other well into Ravenclaw were not selected by Ravenclaw in the end. Compared to wisdom, Hermione's courage and Leah's cheats are clearly more powerful. That's great. Philia, nice to see you again. Hermione moved her chair, leaving Philia a larger space. Nice to meet you, dear Hermione. Philia first placed the book on the table, and then used a floating spell to sit herself on the stool. Oh, unfriendly stool, unfriendly Hogwarts. Hermione covered her mouth and chuckled softly. Hogwarts was indeed unfriendly to Philia's height, but it couldn't be blamed on Hogwarts. After all, Hermione had never seen such a short wizard at the age of 11. The little wizard grows much faster than ordinary children. Hermione is also 11 years old, but she is 168 years old. This is cute. Isn't it? Oh, Philia, you've already started reading senior books. We can't chat anymore, it seems I need to study harder. Hermione shifted her gaze to the book at hand, muttering angrily. I can't believe it. Oh my God. I'm so far behind the children of the wizarding family. Oh. The exam results will make me despair. Leah shook her legs and felt that the child who was addicted to learning was extremely cute. After reading Hermione for a while, she became addicted to the book she was holding. The Fifth Element. Exploration is a required reading book for 6th grade students. We are grateful that school has just started and there are not many 6th grade students borrowing it yet. Otherwise, it's not easy to snatch it from the hands of senior students. The book Defense and Deterrence Curse is also very interesting, as it mentions viewpoints about the Guardian Curse. It mentions that the Guardian God is a hidden yet inherent part of a person's personality, only manifested when needed by the cursor. This is similar to the soul magic passed down by the Foley family. The thickness of these two books is quite considerable, and Leah's goal is to finish them before the potion class in the afternoon. Potion class, this is the only subject that may give Leah a headache. Due to the lack of talent in potions in the Flay family, one of the Flay family members who knows more about potions recently is Lee's grandmother. An elegant elf lady who only speaks elf language. It is obvious that such advanced language is not within Leah's knowledge range. So until she arrived at Hogwarts, she didn't do any extra reading for the potion class. This is also the reason why she firmly chose Professor Snape as her soulmate. Think about it. A venomous, protective, and gloomy potion professor. How many points will a little badger without potion talent be deducted in potion class? And he would never be willing to waste his after-school time on a foolish and talented little badger who is not from his own college. This is also the only concern of Filia's uncle, the head of the Foley family. He gave Leah a dry pat on the head while sending her to school, admonishing her. Potion class, professor. Anyway, if it's not possible, give up. Uncle can secretly set your potion class professor's sack for you. Oh, a potion professor who needs to be covered in a burlap bag. I hope my dear uncle is not his former student. Chapter 3, Section 1 Magic Medicine Class. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 4. Cedric. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Miss Foley doesn't have to come back for the potion class in first grade. She comes to my office for classes every Monday and Saturday night, Snape said, checking his schedule and Hitchcock's first grade schedule. I will arrange tasks for you during the normal potion class time. You can complete them in my office. After class, I will go check them. This will delay a lot of meal time. Leah showed a distressed expression. Professor, if I wait too long, I won't have any food to eat and there will be delicious pudding and plum ice cream which will be sorted out by my classmates. Snape stared at her with an indescribable gaze, and soon compromised in Leah's pale purple eyes. I think you would be happy to accompany your old professor to dinner. Of course. You are the best professor in the entire Hogwarts. Leah happily embraced the slightly restrained professor who lowered her head, and then flew away with a light and agile pace. Happy 1.on.1 guidance class and professor level ordering service. Oh my goodness. I love Hogwarts. You are the best professor in the entire Hogwarts. Hannah repeated what she had heard. I can't believe it. That's Professor Snape. His footsteps can even make the most noisy students quiet. Oh, but Professor Snape is knowledgeable, tolerant, talented, patient, and still a good person. Are you serious? Oh my goodness. Filia must have been tricked by an old man. Perhaps they are just emotions between teachers and students. Oh. You're right. There must be no ordinary teacher-student relationship between Filia and Professor Snape. This is only the first class. The little badgers with ears perked up around were chattering and discussing. Filia listened to the speculations of the people around her but completely ignored them. She swayed her calves, occasionally emitting one or two beautiful melodies in her mouth, staring eagerly at the apple pudding with only two left. Thank you, Professor Snape. If it weren't for his scandals, these two leaky fish wouldn't have been left on Hufflepuff's long table. Filia contentedly used a floating spell to make the pudding fly to her plate, while adding another flame to the lively little badgers. I think you're really right. I just discovered that Professor Snape is a handsome young single male. Oh, you have shown me more of the professor's strengths. Oh my goodness. Poor Hufflepuff. Gryffindor's twins shook their heads and sighed as they spoke. She has been completely confused by the terrifying old bat. The venom of this terrifying and bewitching Snake King deceived a simple little badger. The twins looked at each other and said in unison, "We need to save her." So they lifted the tablecloth and rushed under the table, disappearing. Hannah pulled over a handsome Heckpage senior. Look. This is Senior Diggory from 3rd grade. Look at him. This is much more suitable for you than Professor Snape. Oh dear, I just had a potion class. Leah finished the last bite of the egg tart, jumped off the chair, and explained Sharan, I'm sorry Hannah, I just want to have the last pudding and mango egg tart. I didn't have any feelings for Professor Snape outside of teacher-student relationships, even though he is indeed an excellent male. Oh. Merlin's big shorts. Thank goodness. Hannah pushed the little girl into Diggory's arms. Then you should even take a look at Diggory. He's a huge fan of Hitchcock. Leah leaned calmly in the arms of the newly acquainted Diggory Sr., looking up at him. Hello Mr. Hitchcock super fan, I'm the beautiful Philia. Hello, you can call me Cedric. The boy shyly averted his gaze and couldn't help but turn it back to Leah's face. Philia, it's nice to meet you. You're really beautiful. Snape, sitting in the teacher's seat, attempted to find a familiar figure among a chaotic group of badgers, but unfortunately, the owner of the figure was too short to see a single strand of his hair. On the contrary, Potter, who was dumbfounded and had a chicken coop head, stood out particularly prominently in a group of Gryffindor. Disgusting Potter, Snape withdrew his gaze and began to contemplate how to use food to trick a greedy little badger into becoming his own biological disciple. Chapter 5. Soul Lover 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The pitch-black attic was devoid of any light, and Snape lay on a rudimentary wooden bed, covering himself tightly with a blanket that had almost no insulation function. The familiar man's drunken curse came from downstairs. Who are you? Oh, you look so beautiful. The girl wearing a Hitchcock school uniform suddenly appeared like a fairy godmother in a fairy tale book. Snape noticed the girl's semi-transparent body, which was a ghost. Who are you? Snape sat up, looking guarded. I am your soulmate. You are also my soulmate. We all have our own soulmate in Foley. Maybe not, maybe I haven't been born yet, we can't meet in reality, soul lover. Snape let out a sneer. Isn't this reality here? This is your reality, it's my dream. I need to confirm the year here to know if we can meet in reality. Oh, where do I come from? It's terrible, I can't remember. Is this also part of the curse? The girl finished singing this long string of words in a light and lively tone, and then climbed onto Snape's bed without hesitation. I'm Philia Foley, nice to meet you, Foley. He certainly knew about this family. After all, his mother, who was deeply immersed in love, had more than once hated and cried, cursing that she was not a Foley who could meet and blend with her lover from a young age. She cried, saying that her lover would never treat her like this. Now, the love that his mother never received in her lifetime was delivered to him. Snape felt a moment of embarrassment, for his dirty appearance, rudimentary bed, and torn quilt. This is clearly incompatible with the noble and wealthy Fulick. Severus Snape. He tugged at his own blanket and made space for the girl. Your soulmates are truly impeccable. This non-nitpicking naturally refers to himself. He couldn't figure out why he could become a soulful lover with such a beautiful, wealthy, happy, and obviously beautiful little girl. It's nothing, love won't be blocked by anything. Leia sat with her knees crossed, her head slightly tilted, and focused on him. My great-grandmother is an elf. My cousin's soulmate is a legendary mermaid. Foley never cares about what a soulmate looks like. Because from the moment I see you, my heart beats for you. Why? Oh, maybe it's love at first sight, Leah answered in a slow and sincere tone. Because you are handsome, calm, courageous, and have the perseverance to live a strong life. You are the best boy I have ever seen. I am very willing to live with you in the future and share my life, money, and soul with you. No one has ever affirmed or praised him like this, and his sincere tone and gaze left him at a loss. Even if it was Lily who had helped him before, his only current friend. It's just like saying, you're not that bad, I won't stop playing with you. But he is not worthy of the noble forest. Snape stared at the patch on his blanket, thinking that he had nothing worth sharing with her. Whether it's life, money, or soul. They're all terrible. He tried to use a cold tone to drive away the uninvited girl around him. I already have someone I like, I won't like you. Hey. Leah let out a long tone of confusion. How could you not like beautiful Liao? She forcefully held his face with both hands, making her gaze unable to escape. Why? Is it that I'm not good enough? Tears accumulated in my pale purple eyes, reflecting a sparkling luster under the moonlight. You're very good. And also very beautiful. It's just that I already have a girl I like, so I can't like you. Snape felt his heart beating violently, unable to determine whether this disorderly beating was due to a lie or a heartbeat. Perhaps soul lovers have such magic that they can make two people who have never met before fall in love at first sight and have a huge difference. But this is not correct. An incorrect love with a huge gap will only make girls suffer. Snape felt the soft and warm touch on his cheeks. He didn't want this beautiful little girl to sit in a dirty little house and cry at all. She should be in the castle, married to a handsome prince of a matching family, and live a happy life like a fairy tale. Instead of appearing in the dirty spider tail alley and embracing the son of a ragged drunkard. Sorry, Leah let go of her hand, trying to hold back her tears. Having a devoted lover won't bring happiness to Flay. But Leah really likes you, and I will work hard to make you like me, because we are still children who cannot define friendship and love clearly. I have to give it a try. If you really like that girl, I will bless you. And your current living environment is too bad. Foley cannot accept that his lover lives in hardship, even if we cannot be together. I also want to be helpful to you. As the girl spoke, tears streamed down her face. Don't refuse me, Forrest can't remember unsuccessful love. If I leave, I'll forget you. Perhaps he couldn't be sure if his feelings for Lily were love or friendship, but in front of Philia, her feelings for him must be love, just like his stubborn mother to a man who no longer loves her. There will be people who love themselves as hopelessly as their mothers love their fathers, and no matter how bad they are, they will never fall in love with others. Snape heard his heart beating louder and louder, as well as the temptation from demons in his mind. But he still didn't give a positive answer. Instead he lifted his only blanket. It will be very cold at night, let's cover it together. Chapter 6. Believing in or suspecting Foley. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hey Philia. Harry and Ron ran to the long table of Hufflepuff and surrounded Philia. Do you have any classes this afternoon? I would like to invite you to visit Hagrid's cabin with me. No classes, of course I can. The enthusiastic little lion cannot receive a response, otherwise it will become complacent. Harry and Ron naturally waited for Philia to finish and carried her out. Surprisingly, Hermione was also waiting for them at the door. I heard they will also invite you, Hermione explained. It's really difficult to find a speaking opportunity when you're not in the same college. She was right, and Philia was also extremely resentful about it. It's all thanks to Principal Dumbledore. In order to train Harry, most of Gryffindor and Slytherin's schedules were arranged together. She puffed up her bun face without feeling at all what amazing words she had said. That's really too much. This old bee who calculated children, oh my goodness. Hermione's first reaction was to look around. Thankfully, there was no one else on this grassland except for the four of them. And there is still a long way to go from Hagrid's cabin. Cultivate Harry. Why? To make him a true savior. Cool. Ron was extremely excited. But why do we have to line up with Slytherin? Oh, of course it's to make you hate Slytherin. This way, the savior will stand more firmly on the side of justice. Leah saw that none of them had any intention of leaving, so she sat down on the grass. You know, many of Slytherin's elders are from Voldemort's side. If Harry dislikes them, he will like Dumbledore even more. How did you know? Leah. Is this true? Of course, there is no truth that can hide from Foley's eyes. Ron raised his hand and said, I know. Foley's perceptual talent. The eye of the soul. It's so cool. Perfect assist. Leah gave Ron a praising glance. Ron became even more excited, completely ignoring his brother's bewildered and disappointed expression, and shook his shoulder fiercely with his hand. You don't have to worry about Voldemort at all. Brother. We're friends with the same Foley. Do you know how powerful Foley is? Lord Foley, he once brutally beat Voldemort. Oh my goodness. Then why would I become the savior? Harry asked in confusion. Because Foley and Voldemort are not enemies. Yes. Foley did it with Voldemort before. But Voldemort insulted the sole lover of the Foley family. Oh, do you know the soul curse of the Foley family? It's romantic and scary. By the way, Leah. Have you ever met your soul lover? I think the matter about Voldemort is more important, Ron. Hermione strongly gestured for Ron to calm down. We need to figure out the truth about Harry first. Thank you, Hermione. I'm really confused. What do you want to know? Dear Harry, don't worry, Forrest will give you the answer. Harry fell silent for a moment. I want to know how my parents died. Oh, let's start with a prophecy. Dumbledore obtained a prophecy about the Savior. However, due to poor confidentiality work, Voldemort also knew the upper part of the prophecy. So you were taken to hiding by your parents. They used the Scarlet Heart curse to hide their tracks, but chose an inappropriate confidentiality person, so Voldemort came over, and the loving couple died under the unforgivable curse, while you were protected by your mother's blood magic. So, there was a savior. Such a slow and almost biblical narration is difficult to evoke feelings of sadness. On the contrary, it is somewhat strange that the brewing emotions dissipate in the slow narration, like sitting in a church listening to the pastor slowly reciting the story of the dead. Harry remained silent for a moment and sighed. Who should I blame? Of course it's the evil Voldemort. Ron replied without hesitation. But I feel that Dumbledore is also at fault. And there's a big problem, Hermione retorted. Merlin's socks. Dumbledore is the greatest white wizard of modern times. Ron stared, like a dog about to get angry. Harry decided to skip this topic. Tell me more about my parents. James Potter and Lily Evans. Leah frowned. I don't really like your father. He used to bully Professor Snape with his friends because he was Slytherin and made friends with your mother before they started school. I like Professor Snape and hate the perpetrators of campus bullying. You'd better ask others about them. Okay, Leah. Harry's brow furrowed even deeper, and he also disliked campus bullying, so he could understand Leah's feelings very well. Thank you for letting me know why Professor Snape is so targeting me. That's not just targeting. He wants to stuff you into a hot crucible. Let's talk while we walk. Hagrid should be waiting for us already, Hermione said. I hope we don't bring up any more topics related to Principal Dumbledore. Ron covered his mouth and nodded repeatedly. Of course not. Hagrid is Principal Dumbledore's good friend. We will be fired for speaking ill of the principal. Oh, he will only dismiss you because you smear him in front of Harry, Leah said nonchalantly. As for me, I'm a Foley. Dumbledore wouldn't want to be bagged by my dad. We heard that you are very talented in potion class. Professor Snape mentioned you 3 times in the morning class. Hermione changed the topic. Do you have any tips for learning potion class? Love and talent. Leah smiled and teased them. As long as you can tolerate Professor Snape's sharp tongue and interpret his true meaning from it, you will make great progress in this course. Then forget it. Ron and Harry spoke in unison. Analyzing Professor Snape's venomous tongue's true intention is not as good as letting them fight the monsters for 300 rounds, at least to die a little more happily. You have no idea how much he targeted Harry in class. Ron complained. Those things were all done by Harry's father, how can they be targeted at Harry? Perhaps it's because I look very similar to my father, Harry said with a bitter smile as he pushed his glasses. Hermione and Leia both noticed that Harry had changed his way of addressing his father, no longer as a more intimate father. This is also inevitable. After all, Harry is a child who has been bullied, and he finds it difficult to accept that his father was once a very excessive bully. It was terrible. He only felt that his fantasy about his father had collapsed by a large margin. Don't be too sad. If teenagers don't receive proper guidance, they will become a bit of a mess. Perhaps Hogwarts should be blamed for not having qualified psychological counselors. Yes. My previous school had a psychological counselor. We also do psychological assessments and conversations every semester. Hermione proudly looked up. Look. Muggles do much better than wizards in some places. So why don't you continue studying at Muggle school? Ron retorted in disbelief. Chapter 7. Black Demon King or White Demon King. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So why don't you continue studying at Muggle school? Ron retorted in disbelief. This is a foolish rhetorical question. If the little wizard does not receive enough magical guidance, it can lead to a magical riot, damaging his own body and also harming those around him. Hermione didn't even bother to mock this, rolled her eyes, and knocked on the door of Hagrid's cabin first. Oh. Dear Harry. I've been waiting for you for half a day. Hagrid pushed open the door and warmly gave Harry a hug. Please introduce your friends to me. I baked delicious little dim sum for you. Hermione, who was not hesitating to pass by, secretly rolled her bigger eyes. I bet she must have become even more suspicious of Dumbledore in her heart. Poor Dumbledore, he is just a pitiful and good-tempered little old man who is better at political planning. It is undeniable that most of the time he was indifferent and even somewhat arrogant, watching everything go according to plan, but he did hold a compassionate heart towards all students. But who makes this kindness less important than his plan? Oh my God, let me obediently watch Dumbledore bring glory to his savior one after another for the remaining years, without caring if other colleges and students will become stepping stones for Gryffindor and the savior. Never. It's impossible. Who would stand up for a scheming old man and a foolish savior in the college they should have studied? Whoever you love, it's just a small dark demon king whose soul is divided into several pieces and whose power is mostly limited to England. Would the Foley family, who have experienced several black demon kings or rebellions, be worried? Or does Dumbledore, who has defeated a stronger Dark Lord, need to worry? Oh, he's most worried that his lifespan won't be enough to catch the noseless old snake running around. Leah, who had a famous idea of hugging the savior's thigh in her heart, crossed over the few people still chatting and lightly jumped up Hagrid's windowsill, sitting cross-legged. A short and self-aware person doesn't want to try sitting on the sofa and watching if the half-giant will flip over. Compared to Hermione and her self-proclaimed invisible hedgepuff on the windowsill, Hagrid is more passionate about Harry and the cheerful Ron. However, Leah also does not want to establish a good relationship with a reckless lion with a bloodline of cruel and bloodthirsty giants, as their social distance has always been fascinating. Leah glanced at the Prophet's Daily, which was specially cut as a coaster on the table, and used a floating spell to make it fly into her own hands. Hagrid, why did you cut this news? Oh. Merlin. That's not something you should know. Hagrid said anxiously. Why do we have to specifically cut it off and put it on the table? Leah tilted her head. I forgot, Hagrid said. You can't see this, give it to me. Then I'll help you tear it off. Leah suggested with a smile. No need. No need. Just give it to me. Hagrid took the newspaper clip and casually placed it on the table a little further away. Leah tilted her head and glanced at Harry. Harry, Hagrid, what news are you talking about? That's the Prophet's Daily, not much to watch. All right, Harry. I think you should go back. Hagrid urged. The newspaper coaster was placed on the table not far from the door, and whenever the little lions left, they could turn their heads and take a glance to see it. Leah jumped out of the window and used flotation to move the coaster onto the window. No need to thank Hagrid. It's not easy to be seen here, Leah reminded with a smile. The table at the door is not only easy to see, but may also be blown away by the wind. Hagrid thanked them repeatedly and urged them to leave. The few people who stood on the grass again laughed heartily, and everyone saw that the news should be something Hagrid or Dumbledore deliberately wanted to reveal to Harry. Leah, you're really bad. Hermione raised her thumb. Well done. But what exactly is the news? Ron asked curiously. Perhaps someone else will try to let us know in a few days, Harry smiled bitterly. The magic world is completely different from what I imagined. But it's quite fun, isn't it? Leah smiled and comforted him. The greatest white wizards are with you every day. They care about you very much, oh, Leah. Harry covered his face and said, thank you very much for your comfort, but still don't comfort me. I would rather not have these attention and care. Leah remained noncommittal. I'm leaving, Hannah will miss me. Potter is a wealthy family, so it's best to ask where the Potter family's inheritance is. Maybe the young master of the Malfoy family will help you, Malfoy. Why should we go find him? Ron shouted, but Leah had already left with only one figure left. Leah was looking forward to Harry knowing that most of the Potter family's wealth was being used to sustain the poor operation of the Order of the Phoenix. Spending the inheritance of the Potter family, sending the only descendant of the Potter family to a Muggle family that doesn't have a favorable impression of the Potter family for upbringing, without any child support payments. Woohoo! The throne of the Black Demon King should be given to Dumbledore. He can never whitewash Harry's heart. Chapter 8. Future Disciples. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Leah plans to spend the next time at the library. Hogwarts has the largest magic library in the UK, which will have many interesting books that the Foley family does not have. Foley is better at soul magic, divination, magic formations, and dark magic, so most of the books he collects are related to this. Perhaps you can also discover Hogwarts' secret map, and the convenience index for night tours will increase infinitely. Host, the Virgin Mary should not violate the student code. Come on, dear system. Do you expect me to stay in the dormitory all night honestly? If we give each night stroller a lamp, the night at Hogwarts can be as bright as day. Night tour undetected, rewards the basic badge of potion perception. As long as the college score is not deducted, right? Cannot be discovered by anyone. This is not feasible. Children who strictly abide by discipline will not become important companions for the Savior, and they will miss many opportunities to develop good relationships. System, believe me, no one knows how to brush likes better than Nu+Shuangwen+A. Night tours do not deduct college points and reward beginner-level badges for potion perception. The system silently compromised. After all, he is just a poor Virgin Mary system doing tasks for the first time, and he is not as knowledgeable as the demon cultivation genius bound from the cultivation world. Tong Gui has self-awareness, and if he doesn't know how to do it, he will be cowardly and not shameful. Miss Foley, what are you doing sitting here? Are you planning to jump into the embrace of death? Leah, who had originally planned to go to the library, followed the stairs all the way to the top floor of the astronomical tower. Now she is sitting on the edge of the tower in a daze and has been caught straight. Sorry Professor, I just followed fate's guidance. Leah obediently descended from the roof. Guide you to the astronomical tower to end your life. All right. Follow me. I believe Miss Foley won't mind using her daydreaming time to help his hard-working professor deal with some troublesome textbooks. Of course fate guides us to meet here. Professor Snape is very tall, with long legs. It takes several steps for Leah to keep up with each step, not to mention that he walks very fast. Leah squinted her eyes and discussed with the system. I want to saw him off below his knees. Can't he see a little pudding behind him who's not even as tall as his thigh? It's because you're too short, host. Oh my goodness. Did I voluntarily be kidnapped into this non-growing body? You know, I used to be much taller than now. The system has escaped, he has been extorted many times for this reason. Leah pouted and took a few quick steps to grab Snape's hem, forcing him to stop. Leah opens her arms. I can't keep up with the professor, and it's so far away. Professor, hold me and let's go. Snape raised an eyebrow and looked at her in silence. Leah reached out and gestured. Look at Professor, I'm not as tall as your legs yet. My legs are even shorter. There's a big speed difference between us, so why don't you hold me and walk? Doesn't anyone hug you? Does the delicate Miss Foley plan to stay overnight at the planetarium? In fact, maybe I would choose to jump down. The girl looked at him with a smile on her face and didn't feel like she had said anything amazing. Perhaps she would really jump down, and Snape swallowed back the deduction that came to his mouth. It would be more troublesome to watch her jump down because of her own words than to hold a small monster. Perhaps the head of the Foley family, his former colleague, would rush to Hogwarts to give him a diamond heart and bone, and then use Avada to end the life of this ridiculous person. So he silently picked up the little monster, like the little girl he had seen holding a doll before. His soft arms wrapped around his neck, and his little head rudely leaned against his shoulder. Even coquettish complaints. Have you never held a child before? Your body is so stiff, Professor. Perhaps Miss Foley would be more willing to walk down in person instead of making things difficult for a poor old professor who was treated like a chair. Leah didn't answer, but gently rubbed the old professor's neck with her furry head. I like your embrace. Snape pursed his lips tightly, walking faster than usual, like a winter cold wind blowing through the hallway of Hogwarts. And the embrace of the cold wind is holding a warm spring sun. What a terrible combination. Snape cursed his own foolishness in his heart and couldn't figure out why he just held this soft and warm thing in his arms. Leah, who was held in her arms, made an effort to let her gaze cross her shoulders and extended her hand to greet the classmates she knew passing by. Squinting his eyes, it was obvious that he really liked this cold, hard, and herbal-filled embrace. Who wouldn't like humanoid seats that are tall, large, and capable of autonomous driving? It would be even better if it weren't for the limited experience version. As soon as she entered the office gate, Leah was grabbed by her robe, torn off from her arms, and thrown onto the sofa. Professor Snape sat solemnly at his desk, piled with small mountain-high paper assignments. The fireplace burns a magical flame that never goes out all year round, preventing this cold and dark cellar from becoming a place where penguins only live. Professor Snape pointed to a bucket of slugs placed in the corner of the wall. That's your task. I hope Miss Foley can finish it before dinner. Oh no. It's taller than me. Snape glanced at her but didn't speak. In fact, that bucket of slugs was a confinement task for a Gryffindor student in 4th grade. Then grind the horns of the unicorn into powder. An arm-long horn floated out of the material cabinet and landed in front of Leah. Neither of these is a good job. You can't help me with this useless work. Leah condemned the system in her mind. Is there nothing else the system can do besides publishing tasks? I am passing the time for you, the host. Thank you very much. If you're not referring to killing time by watching me work, Leah has great strength, and grinding the horns of a unicorn is not a difficult task for her. And getting up close to the magical potion materials in books made her feel good. Leah hummed a small tune while processing the materials. Perhaps she didn't notice herself singing out loud, her eyes fully focused on the ground powder. This powder emits a gray, blurry, sparkling light, like the night light of the Muggle world. It is obvious that it is suitable for developing drugs that change their form. Perhaps it can be used to make a potion and turn it into a cat. Leah loves cats very much, but unfortunately her animagus is a red panda with reddish-brown, golden fur, and a fluffy tail. It lacks powerful combat power and is not suitable for hiding its tracks. I don't know what Snape's animagus is. Maybe it's a bat. A black bat hidden in a corner. Oh, that must be very interesting. When Leah finished processing that corner, it was still early before dinner time, and Professor Snape was buried in the pile of papers without looking up. What a terrible workload. Perhaps Hogwarts should assign at least 2 teachers or 2 teaching assistants to each subject. Leah transformed into a little panda and ran to Snape's feet, grabbing a chair and climbing up. She found a comfortable position on Professor Snape's legs and performed a 1-second sleep for her dear Professor Snape. Snape silently glanced at the bold panda, pondering her extraordinary potion talent and powerful background, and then recalling his lost memories that might be related to the Flay family. In the end, he still didn't lift this guy off his lap and throw it away. That's it. Perhaps the young lady of the Foley family is just used to interacting with her elders in this way. He remembered the former colleague who had beaten up Voldemort for his lover. After all, the people of the Foley family are not ordinary people who love their families and take care of their children. He touched the soft back fur of the little panda. Just be like an extra goddaughter, or a disciple who will inherit everything from me. She will surpass me to become the youngest potion master in history. Snape's mouth lit up with a smile, but he mercilessly gave Gryffindor a big P on his paper. Chapter 9. Night Tour. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Harry. Keep it down. I heard footsteps. Ron, we really shouldn't have gone on a night tour on the first day. Leah tilted her head and appeared behind them lightly, lifting the phantom curse. Why are you here? Are you here to find food? Ah. Shut up. Ron. We'll bring in Filch. Leah put down her hand that covered her ears and asked again. Are you looking for the kitchen or are you sneaking into Hufflepuff's lounge? We're just lost. Harry avoided Leah's gaze. This is not a good reason, however. Leah did not continue to ask. I heard the cats meowing. You better leave here. Before they leave, I think Miss Foley better explain why she appeared in the hallway at the wrong time. The dark bat appeared silently from behind, frightening Ron with another scream that broke through the sky. I woke up hungry. Leah stepped forward and grabbed Snape's hand. Good professor, do you know where the kitchen is? I really can't find it. This reason is very impressive. Snape pulled Leah behind and did not answer her question, but instead asked the trembling Gryffindor duo in front of him. I don't think Mr. Potter, who is brave, will try to use ridiculous reasons to appease his fortunate old professor. Yes, I'm sorry. Harry's words were interrupted by the sudden appearance of Filch. What did I catch? 2 Gryffindor who came out for a night tour on the first day. Oh, Professor Snape, and you. You must punish them severely. Snape hid Leah behind him again. Of course, 2 Gryffindor. He said, Gryffindor deducts 50 points. 2 weeks of confinement. Ferk. I'll leave it to you. I will treat them well. Filch excitedly said, pulling Harry's hand. Come with me, kids. Ron looked back at Leah, who was tightly hidden, in disbelief, and was then pulled away by Harry. This is too strange. Enough, Ron. We were supposed to lose 50 points. Everyone. Don't let Professor Snape change his mind. Shut up your incessant chatter. Today is considered lucky for you. Next time, I must tie your thumbs and hang you from the spire of the castle. Snape stood there in silence until the 3 of Filch turned a corner and disappeared from his sight. Leah's head popped out. Can we move now? Professor Leah is really hungry. You should be grateful that I didn't hand you over to Filch, instead of foolishly shouting like a pig, Snape said, lifting Leah up from behind. If I remember correctly, you ate at least twice as much for dinner as me. You can hold me directly. Leah opened her hand. To be honest, I'm hungry, tired, and very tired now. Please, Professor, hold me. Snape snorted disdainfully and finally picked her up with one hand. Why does the poor old professor have to worry about the stomach of a little badger that can even eat more than a dragon? You better not have another one. I'll come find you next time. I remember the way from the lounge to your office. Leah hugged the old professor's neck and snorted, in fact, I only remember that one road, which is too difficult for me. Professor, you are the person I love and trust the most in this school. Help poor Philia, your liking and trust are really cheap, Snape said coldly. The kitchen is right next to the Hufflepuff lounge. I don't understand how you could be so foolish as to get lost in Slytherin's territory. Leah snored softly like a cat and didn't answer. After a while, there was a faint sound of breathing that truly fell asleep. Snape, who was already standing at the kitchen door, froze in disbelief. Did you fall asleep in such a short time? Is she really a pig that only knows how to eat, drink, sleep and hum? Snape pulled the little pig off his body and mercilessly lifted it in his hand, shaking her awake. Kitchen. After finishing, go back to sleep. Snape put down the dizzy little pig and strode away. In the open kitchen door, a group of elves with big eyes stared at her eagerly. Dear Wizard Miss, may I ask if there is anything we can do to assist you? Leah gave a bewildered and innocent smile. I would like a glass of pomegranate juice with a little orange juice, and preferably a bowl of spicy seafood pasta. The robe, darker than the night, completely disappeared into the nearby corner. I will leave an indelible saliva mark on his robe sooner or later. He actually woke up a pitiful and lovely Foley. Forgive me for reminding you, host, it's you who pretended to sleep first. Chapter 10. Princess and Dream. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A girl doesn't know how to tidy up the room or sew clothes. She's like a real princess, sitting quietly on the bed or waving a wand that's not working at that time. But this wand at least restored his quilt to its original old but unpainted appearance. What are you looking at? Snape asked curiously after sweeping the floor and washing his hands. Look at the clouds, or don't look at anything. That's just daydreaming. Why do you love daydreaming so much? Because I'm spending the whole night with you. Leah blinked her eyes. This windowsill is very suitable for placing some flowers. Can we plant flowers here? I don't have the money to buy a useless flower pot. Wild flowers are good. What do you think of hyacinths? Do you like hyacinths? I like it, but I love pink roses the most. Perhaps you can find this kind of flower behind the church. Don't hold on to too much hope. Snape is right. It is still spring with cold winds, not summer with blooming flowers. The delicate flowers blooming along the Mediterranean coast may not necessarily adapt to the cold winds of the English Highlands. I'm so cold, Severus, can you hold me? You're really troublesome, Snape complained with a red face as he quickly climbed onto the bed, hugged the girl, and covered both of them with a blanket. The current temperature can't be considered cold. Do you want to become an ice sculpture in the cold winter wind? Your embrace is warm, it won't make me an ice sculpture. So Snape hugged the girl in his arms even tighter. Will you leave me? The soul magic of the Foley family can only last for a week, and after that, it can only be sustained by the love of the soul lover for Foley. So, I can only exist for about a week, Leia said calmly. Moreover, even if there is love, it can only last for a maximum of 3 years. After all, the power required for soul magic is too great, and long-term maintenance is not good for anyone. Will we meet in reality? Your reality is not a dream. Leah laughed and turned to look at him. Do you also expect us to meet in reality? It's very likely. After all, the appearance of the street is not much different from my reality. Leah hugged the awkward little Snape and gave him a cheek kiss. And Wizard's lifespan is very long. Don't worry, we will definitely meet in the future. I'm not worried, Snape reached out to cover the intoxicating eyes of the girl in his arms. Maybe I'll become an old man by then. Then I will also like you. Snape stopped speaking and gently leaned his chin against the girl's shoulder. The faint rose fragrance made people feel a sense of peace and warmth. Perhaps there are other claims of love that won't deceive this little Foley for long. She will definitely not disappear in 2 days. How should we explain at that time? It's really headache-inducing. Snape despised himself in his heart. How could a person who was ugly, poor, gloomy, and maybe even an old man imagine the delicate rose blooming in the Foley family? If it were a rose growing recklessly in the wild, perhaps this ugly snake still had the courage to climb over poisonous thorns and break flowers. But this is a carefully taken care of rose blooming in the estate. How can an old wild snake bring happiness to roses? She will wither the day after leaving the estate. He listened to the curses and falls of the drunkard man downstairs, and to his mother's crying and pleading, who was clearly capable of resisting. Unequal marriages do not bring happiness, they only lead to mutual torment and ultimately erode love over time. We need to find a way, we must not let little Rose leave behind this memory that should not exist. Snape had a long-lost dream, it was still a beautiful one. When I woke up, I felt a daze, only remembering what I should have in my arms. The joy and happiness brought by that dream made him rarely lie in bed in a daze instead of getting up and washing up immediately. What should I hold in my arms? A warm, soft existence with a rose fragrance. Is it difficult to meet my favorite disciple, so I dream of having the same little girl? Snape thought about the scene of little Leah hugging his leg and calling him daddy obediently, and rubbed his eyebrows. He should stop fantasizing about being easily assassinated. Snape remembered Little Flay's soft and delicate statement yesterday that she was the professor she trusted and loved the most. That's for sure. After all, they all have a strong talent for magic potions and a fascination with them. This is his destined disciple, his heir. Oh. Merlin. This is simply a gift given to him by fate. Snape woke up in a good mood, washed himself up, picked up the lesson plan, and glanced at the schedule. Is it Gryffindor again? It's really a beautiful morning. I hope poor Professor McGonagall can still have lunch after seeing the scorecard.